The first thing I'm going to do today is take this profit before it vanishes on me.
Forex Morning Mayhem is a must-listen podcast for currency traders. Get a curated watch list, insightful market analysis, and crucial news updates, plus trading tips for all levels. But remember, it's educational, not investment advice. Scan the QR code in the description to join our free Trade Faction Slack channel for live trade calls. If you like the podcast, please follow and share. Let's get started. Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, April 30th, 2025, and you're listening to Forex Morning Mayhem. It's time for the daily market briefing. In today's headlines, President Trump pledged a fair deal with China, claiming China will absorb US tariffs, though Beijing disputes ongoing talks. Markets remain cautious ahead of key US data and major earnings from Microsoft and Meta. The dollar is firm, euro shrugs off strong GDP, and commodities trade quietly amid weak Chinese PMIs. Investors await further economic reports and earnings from top companies, with trade tensions and policy uncertainty dominating sentiment. Stay tuned for a currency market update with Bill and Dave next. Thanks for listening to Forex Morning Mayhem. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review if you like the show.
Welcome, David. Today we're going to talk about the new trading product that I have been working on for a very long time.
Fantastic.
It's an evolution of the inception zone thing. So a lot of the concepts and the design strategy from that was used as the springboard to this, okay? So my original goal was I want something that generates a reasonable amount of quality signals daily so that if you want to use it, you can use it to make money. That was number one goal. Number two goal was I didn't want it to be too complex visually because I hate that. Maybe I can think of ways to simplify it from here, but I don't know yet. This is about as simple as I could get it for now. And then the third goal was to combine classic algorithmic technical analysis approaches with artificial intelligence, blend those two and take the best of those two things together and come up with a solution. The first thing I'm going to do today is take this profit before it vanishes on me. There we go. That, boys and girls, is good disciplined trading strategy,
There you go.
which I'm not always able to do. All right, so the first thing, we're going to go through this step by step. I'm going to break this down, and if you have any comments, just chime right in.
All right.
First thing, time frame. This is on a 5-minute chart. Why did you pick a 5-minute chart? Couple of reasons. One, the system sets up real nice on a 5-minute chart. Two, on a 5-minute chart, when you're getting in and out of a trade, because it's so little time, you can't get in too much trouble like you can on a 1 hour or a 4 hour or a daily chart, right?
Got it.
Because you're going to figure out that you screwed up pretty quick if you screwed up. So that was the reason for the time frame. I did start originally on a 1-minute chart, but I'm just too old for that shit. And I can't be glued to a screen like that. This at least gives you a little bit of a quality of life in between trades. Okay. Second thing that I wanted to do was not have to think about what market session I'm in. So as you can see here, I have the sessions outlined. So here's the London session, and then right here's the New York session, and this is where they overlap right here. So you can easily see that. And then in the evening, if you want to trade in the evening, I have an alert set to go off right here where Tokyo opens Where Sydney and Tokyo are overlapped is not the greatest time to trade, but if you're a junkie and you want to trade at night, that's a good time of night to trade. And as you can see, right now we are, what time is it? 8 o'clock.
Yep.
So we're in the midst of this part of the session. So that was one of the things that I wanted to incorporate into the tool. All right, number 3, what I'm calling the cloud trend indicator. The best way that I came up with visually to help you identify the trend was this green and blue cloud. So if the cloud is green, obviously the trend is going up. And if the cloud is blue, purplish, it's going down. If the cloud is white, like in this area, then it's in a neutral territory. It means it's neither going up nor down. So that is a time when you don't want to be in a trade. Then we have just the pretty classic trading signals. So you have a sell signal right here, and you have a buy signal right here. All right, those are pretty self-explanatory. I did add a little line so you could see where they are. I originally just had the little floating triangles, but it was hard to see in the cloud where it crosses. So I added that little line. Hopefully that doesn't clutter up anything too badly. All right, so the next thing that you'll see are these little dots. What the little dots are the overbought and oversold indicator. It's classic relative strength indicator. Okay. Why did I put it there? Because it's an excellent tool to use to take profits. For example, if I look at this trade right here, where I got a buy signal right about here, the cloud switched trends to the upside. When do you get out of this? This has always been a struggle for me. You get in a trade and you're making money and you're hanging on, you're hanging on and hanging on, and all of a sudden you're hanging on too long and you lost all the money that you just made, right? So what I've implemented as a discipline is one of two things. Either when I get in a trade, I will get out at the RSI, okay, the first one that paints, or if it hits support or resistance. So that's one of the things, okay? So anyway, speaking of support or resistance, where is that? That's right here, okay?
Gotcha.
All right. I added a little bit of intelligence to the support and resistance, just so I would have, this is like the way my brain works. Sometimes price comes up to a resistance area and a support area, and you're like, oh, is it going to stop and turn around? Is it going to blow right through it? What's it going to do? Is the pool going to get drained, or is the pool not going to get drained? So what I did is I put a little bit of intelligence in it that sort of gives me a very quick estimation of the size of that particular area of support or resistance or pool. And I made it very simple. It's either going to be a low area, it's going to be a medium area, and there isn't one printed on here right now, but there is a high area. And they're also physically bigger than each other. So the medium is going to be bigger than the low, and the high is going to be a bigger chunk like that.
Makes sense.
So you can very quickly visually see what's going on. All right, so then down to the last two pieces of the puzzle. Oh, and there's one to see this little blue thing? That means it's starting to get big. And actually, this is a really good example that I didn't even try to do. You'll notice an RSI is starting to flash here. Okay. So you also have this little indicator here. You'll get this blue bar that prints that says Danger Will Robinson. There is really a lot of shit here. Okay. So if I hadn't exited that trade when I did, I would definitely be exiting it now because I have two signals. I have an RSI that's flashing on and off, and I also have the little blue bar that says there's really a lot of pushback here. Okay. So the chances of it blowing through this are not very high. Make sense?
Yep, that does.
Okay. Last two pieces of the puzzle. There's what I call the heads-up display right here. Here's what's in the heads-up display. Real-time relative strength, color-coded so that as it gets nearer to the top, nearer to a resistance area, this is going to get redder. Okay.
All right.
As it gets nearer to a support area, this is going to get greener. I originally hated this when I first did it because you know what you get when you put red and green together because this is a gradient.
Ooh, you get crap.
It's pretty close, brown.
Yeah.
You get brown. You get a big poop emoji in the middle of this thing. But I've learned to grow accustomed to it, and yeah, that's what that does.
Are you an active trader looking to elevate your trading skills? We invite you to join the Trade Faction, a community where you can witness trades called out live. To connect with fellow traders and gain real-time insights, simply click the link in the description or scan the QR code to join our free Slack channel. This is a great opportunity to enhance your trading strategies and stay ahead of the market. So what are you waiting for? Click that link or scan the QR code now and become part of the Trade Faction today.
The next one,
with the shit. Got it.
yeah, I dealt with the shit. Yes, exactly. So
All
the
right.
next indicator here is ADX, which is a measure of the strength of the trend. And this one goes from orange to bright yellow. The trend is super strong. It's going to be very bright yellow. And when it's weak, it's going to be more orangish. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. Then I just have the general trend calculated with DX over DI. I can't remember the algorithm that it uses, but this will be either bullish or bearish. Okay.
Gotcha.
Then I added this one as an afterthought after using this for a while. So this one is basically what was the last alert. So the last alert,
It just happened, right?
correct. Correct. That's what that's at. Okay. And then last but not least, I have another indicator up here, and this has to do with the artificial intelligence. I have some machine learning code that is looking at price action and making a prediction about what direction it's going to be going on the very next bar. Okay.
Gotcha.
You can adjust it a little bit. You can tell it how many bars back to look to come up with its guess. The industry standard is 4. So I left it at that. It will tell you what its percentage of feel is that's going to happen, the direction of the next bar. I originally had it down here as a little dot that changes color, but I found that really distracting when you're trading. So I just said, I'm going to put it in a table up here so I can just glance up at it if I want to. Okay. So there's that. I think that covers everything that I wanted to cover. Do you have any questions on anything?
Cool. Questions? No, not really. It seems like it's an easy system to understand. I think there's too many dots. I get distracted a little bit by the time frames for everything.
Okay.
I think it might blend too much with the
I see what you're saying. Okay, that's good feedback because
I can see exactly where they're coming, when they paint. The only thing I haven't seen is I haven't seen one, quote unquote, paint. And so
one I actually did like seconds before I started, and that was the trade that I was already in when you saw me turn the thing on. So
other than that, yeah, I think there's enough contrast between the two that it makes it easy to see.
cool.
The white, I like the white because it always goes one color to the other color so that you actually created that white chop. Really makes things a lot easier to see.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't
So
have too many
speaking of the white chop, here's another thing that I found just from using it.
Yeah.
Which is this kind of pattern here always makes me cautious, right? I like this way better when it's doing this.
Right.
Because that makes it much easier. If it's been doing this for a long time, it's going to probably start to think about doing that.
Right.
Okay. But when it's doing this, and let me show you a couple of them here. We'll see if any of these. Oh, the last thing I didn't even talk about was here's the 3 instruments that I picked that seem to work really well with this system, which is the Aussie US dollar, the euro, pound, and the US Canadian dollar. Okay.
Yeah, just for note, it looks like you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15 trades conservatively in there. So that really concentrating on the 3 and not the 8 that we were in, I think is going to benefit this.
Cool. That's what I was hoping. And I will probably only let those alerts fire during like the New York market. Don't want them running all night.
Gotcha.
All right, so if I go through these, like the very first one here, if I was to analyze this, we're in an uptrend. We have just hit an area of resistance. There was a blue bar printing up here saying there's a lot of resistance up here, and we have a RSI signal going on and off and on and off over here. So it's telling me this is the time to get out of this trade. And I got in over here, got out over here. I don't know how many ticks that is. I suppose I could probably find that out by doing this. So that was about a 14 pip trade, which ain't too shabby. These trades seem to be anywhere from 6 to less than 20 pips per
Sounds good
trade.
enough.
Yeah, that's that you can make a real nice living doing that. All right, so that's what the US Canadian dollar looks like. If I look at the Aussie US dollar, now here's
Interesting.
this is very easy to understand. There was just a sell signal here where the trend changed to the downside. If you had gotten into that trade, you would have had multiple opportunities here to take your profits. Not only were there RSIs that painted, but there were also several areas of support that you could have exited on. If you were a schmuck and greedy, you could have stayed in it all night, and then you would have got out on news this morning, probably here or here, okay, for a little bit more money. But it's pretty easy, I think, to understand, right? I'm asking for your input because
No, I just
I look at
this
it
is
all
very
day.
intuitive. You've got the short that basically sat there and said, "Okay, I'm the sell."
Right,
First one
exactly.
paints, take it. Call it a day. Sounds good. If wait for the second or third or fourth, each time you're adding more risk to your trade, and it's whatever you feel safe or comfortable.
Exactly. And just a couple of things to point out. The machine learning is saying the next bar is probably bearish. Notice the RSI here is in oversold mode because it's greenish. So this thing's going to bounce back here sometime. The trend is fairly strong here. Okay. And two ways of measuring the trend, the ADX and then this regular trend indicator is bearish. And the last alert was an oversold alert, which is what this means. And
Yeah.
that was, you can't see it there because this news icon in there, but it was only like a couple of bars ago.
Gotcha.
All right. So this is what I would call a very clean chart because it's very obvious where the trend is going up or down. Yeah, I think it works really nice. Okay.
Yeah.
But the point I wanted to make is it quickly lets you look at a chart and go, maybe I don't want to do that one today. So this is the euro pound chart. And once again, super clean long trade. It was a little sketchy here because it was painting white. So I guess what if I was to, I'm pretty religious about taking these, right? If I get a signal, I'll take it. So my criteria for getting out would be maybe I would have put like a stop loss down here under support. Right? So
Yeah.
if it went sideways on me, and then here is your entrance, here is your exit. Let's just measure that again for good luck to see how that looks. So that would have been, that's about eight
Yeah.
pips.
I don't think
That'll do the trick for me,
I got no problem with that.
And once again, pretty clear. Here's medium resistance. We also got an RSI up there, so these things are supporting each other. The last signal was overbought. This is also color coded. Okay. 16 bars ago. Tells you where that is at. So the only thing I still have to decide what to do for now, when am I going to offer this? We're probably in a few weeks out because I got to prepare all the marketing shit.
Yeah.
But at first, it's going to be a signal. So if it's just a signal, then at the client end, and that's why I'm showing all this stuff, is you're going to want to come up with an RSI for yourself so that you have a good feeling, either an RSI or a solid support resistance indicator, so you know where to get out of the trade.
Yep.
Because I think the entries are going to be pretty clean. Here's another thing to point out. These are like signals that fired that weren't that great. So if you had got in here, I would have to go back and play the recorder to show you where these because these are calculated in real time. That's why they don't show up back here. And I only have them show up like in the current time frame so that it doesn't
Okay,
clutter
gotcha.
up the drawing. But I'm guessing that there were like support and resistance lines right around here or something like that.
Yeah,
So when you got in and then right away there's a resistance, it was probably like that. So sometimes that screws up my brain.
gotcha.
And, you know, I don't want to get out because I just got in. Does that make sense?
Click the button. What the
Yeah,
heck?
yeah, exactly. So you have to learn to be really disciplined with this. So anyway, that's that.
Gotcha. Fantastic.
And I'm going to turn on the alerts for you right now. So enjoy and let me know if anything breaks. And folks out there in client land, give me a couple weeks and I will have this done, hopefully. All right, see you later.
Happy trading.
Bye.